listening to Compete Radio with your host, Josh Fourier, Buddy Early with the news, Alfonso Chavez with Sports Pop, Connie Wardman with Ask Connie, and Eric Carlisle with Hot Topics. Compete Radio.
All right, welcome to the big show. I'm your host, Josh Fourier. All right, Compete Magazine. It's national. Barnes & Noble borders across the United States. Big deal, right?
It is.
I'm thrilled.
And wonderful independent bookstores across the U.S.
New York,
as well.
New York specifically, I'm told, right?
I
Wonderful
think
bookstores across
everywhere
the US.
across the U.S.
If they don't have it, ask for it.
Well,
Yes.
just be on the lookout. If you're at Barnes & Noble's borders, look for Compete Magazine. It's there. We're happy about it.
Starting March 1st.
Starting March 1st.
Don't go today because it's already sold out.
Buddy, I'm guessing that you are going to start with football.
Well, a little bit. We have a lot of interesting news to get to today. We do have a week off before the Super Bowl, so I don't have to make any predictions this week. So thank God for that.
Well,
Praise Jesus. Because all my predictions have been.
You notice I didn't wear my black and gold outfit.
I'm sure
today
you'll be
for
wearing it
the
next
Steelers.
week, though.
He's so smart.
While we are, on hiatus from football this week, although we do have the Pro Bowl this weekend, the Associated Press announced its All-Pro team, which is the highest honor you can get in the NFL. You know, you have the Pro Bowl, which, like I said, is being played this weekend in
Is that in Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Okay.
But the All-Pro team is even a more select group because the Pro Bowl is each conference gets, its team, and each position
that's
has
right.
reserves, and some of those reserves have injuries, so they add more people to the teams. And
There's a lot of people on this
by
team,
the time it gets
basically.
around to it, the Pro Bowl can be upwards of close to 100 players.
Wow.
Whereas the AP All-Pro team is one person at each position, or at wide receiver, two people because they're two wide receivers and whatnot.
I was just curious to know if those 100 people are all overpaid to play in that game.
Well, ask Connie.
I beg your pardon?
But some interesting choices. The AP All-Pro team, actually, they do have a second team, so that is sort of like a good pat on the back as well. But the AP first team is really the cream of the crop in the NFL. And your quarterback is, of course, Tom Brady this year, who's had an amazing year this year. And the interesting thing is that on the AP second team, the quarterback position was left vacant because Tom Brady got every single vote.
You are kidding.
Which is really unusual.
That's amazing.
That of the 50 Associated Press sports writers who vote for the AP team, that not one of them said anyone other than Tom Brady. Not
Because there are some
Peyton Manning,
nice
not Michael
quarterbacks
Vick,
out there.
not Drew Brees.
Yeah.
There are some great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That shows you the kind of year that Tom Brady has had. The
impressive.
only unanimous selection.
So has he cut that Dutch boy hair
I don't
or
think
Justin
so.
Bieber look?
I don't think so. He's been wearing a little messier lately, a little
'cause
longer.
If you
Well, it's been blowing in the breeze.
if you look like an overgrown Justin Bieber and you still got every vote, you're good.
It's sort of a half Bieber, half mullet thing going on now because he's been growing it out.
The Belieber.
The Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens each put 3 players on the AP All-Pro team, which was the most.
boy.
Connie, your Steelers had 2.
Yay.
My Cowboys had 1. Jason Witten,
Yay
my
for
favorite
you.
player. Some other interesting choices at wide receiver: Roddy White from Atlanta and Reggie Wayne from Indianapolis. The running backs were Jamal Charles from Kansas City and Arian Foster of Houston. Now, the defense is what's really kind of funny here. Not funny; it's a great defense, but it's funny because this is like the all-name defense. Listen to the.
If only our listeners could see Buddy's face as he was getting to lead into this. He looks like he's already having a good time.
Listen to the names that appear on the first team
Okay.
All-Pro defense. Haloti Nagata, Ndamukong Suh, Madi Asamoah, and Troy Polamalu. Those are just a few of the names. So
Sounds like a lot of
it's a fun
Islanders.
thing.
I
What's
don't
that?
know- I don't know if I should
Yeah.
laugh at that or not. I'm
Do they all-
scared to laugh at a name.
I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of frizzy hair on that
I was gonna say,
defensive
are
line.
they all getting hair commercials?
Actually, Polamalu is the only one of those who has like big, out of control hair. The others are pretty, I believe, tight shaves.
You know, it's kids. There are kids in first grade who have to learn how to spell all those names.
I
Probably
know.
hate their fathers.
Well,
at
the
that
teachers,
moment.
too, who
Yeah.
have to put up with these kids.
Having to pronounce them on the first week.
Exactly. Imagine having to pronounce Namadi Asamoah, and it's not spelled anything like it sounds.
That's
Oh,
one
dear.
expensive pregame dinner, I guarantee it.
Or Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
I could give you 100 opportunities to spell that, and I'm sure you probably couldn't.
Buddy, where did you get the proper way to pronounce these names?
Well,
Is
these are the best players in the NFL, so
You know already.
hear them over and over, week in and
Sure.
week out.
It's kind of like knowing that Brett Favre isn't spelled the way it's pronounced.
Right.
You mean
Yeah.
Brett Favre?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Eric. What were you going to say?
If I didn't know, I would have said Namdi Asamuga instead of Namadi Asamoah, but, because I thankfully know
Because you
that.
care.
I'm like, let me
You're
see
so
that.
wonderful.
He doesn't even get my name right. I've done it for 5 years. So.
Oh, Eric Carlil. So I did say that we were going to kind of span the globe today around various different sports because
Yes.
there's lots of interesting news going on right now and this past week. Let's move over to the association, the National Basketball Association,
Got
that
to
is.
move my chair?
The Washington Wizards are the I don't know if you'd say the big story this week, but the interesting story this week because they just lost their 21st straight road game to
Oh,
begin
my
the season.
word.
They haven't won on the road yet this year.
Ouch.
They lost to the Knicks on Monday night, which was their 21st straight loss. The record is 29 in a row, set by the Nuggets back in 92-93. But it doesn't get any easier for the Washington Wizards. Their upcoming games, Friday night, tonight, they play at Dallas, followed by their upcoming road games are at the New Orleans Hornets,
Uh-huh.
Cleveland Cavaliers, Orlando Magic, Philadelphia 76ers, and Miami Heat. And if they lose all of those games, they'll tie the record. They're a pathetic team this year. They really are. And I'm rooting for them to tie or even set the record.
Yeah, exactly.
Are
To
they
do
going to have to play
something.
pretty bad to lose against the Cavaliers?
Yeah, that's the thing is coming up, their best chance at not setting this record is to break it against the Cavaliers in a couple of weeks. Or that's actually happening later next week. They go to play at Cleveland, which is also one of the worst teams in the league. So that might be their best opportunity. At Philadelphia, they could, surprise and pull out a win there too. But those other games are
Not going to happen.
not
I'm
going
going
to
to pick
happen.
them over the Heat. That's,
Oh, is that right?
Yes, that's what Miss Cleo just told me. Look for them to beat the Heat.
Nice.
For those of you who don't know out there in listening land, Eric Carlil, was that?
Carlil.
Otherwise known as Carlisle, gets in touch with Jimmy the Greek via Miss Cleo. So he has his head
There's
wrapped in
going to be an
aluminum
upset.
foil.
LeBron James is going to be injured before the game. So let's just all.
LeBron James is going to be injured before the game. I don't even think that would matter. The Wizards are that bad. Let's move over to tennis, where the Australian Open is playing out right now down under. And this has not been a good Australian Open for the U.S. Yet again, coming up short in a Grand Slam. The men and women have just not fared well in Grand Slams recently outside of the Williams sisters.
Maybe it was that dead spot.
And,
There was like a dead spot on one of the courts that they found last week where they just like dropped a ball and didn't even bounce. It just
Oh, right. Yeah,
stayed there.
that's right. Apparently, all of the other
Either
players
that
from
or
the other countries.
Who was the gal a week or so ago that her whole
Oh,
racket fell
Radwanska,
apart?
yeah. She got eliminated. She made it pretty far. But Andy Roddick was the last U.S. man standing, made it to the fourth round, but he got ousted before making it to the quarterfinals. 10 of 12 U.S. women lost in the first round of the draw.
Wow. Oh, my.
Yeah. Vanya King lost in the second round, and Venus Williams actually retired from her second round match due to an injury in the first game of the match. So the U.S. women were out like that.
Immediately.
Serena, of course, is still out with a foot injury that's been nagging her for several months, and she is actually about to drop out of the top 10 because she's been sitting out so long. So another example of how the horizon is not looking good for U.S. tennis.
Yeah.
It's really poor. Hopefully, the Williams sisters can turn it around. There's nobody young coming up on the horizon. I've said horizon twice now.
We used to have such a
We
strong
did.
tennis team in the U.S. What's happened? Are they not recruiting young kids anymore?
It's
or-
partially that. It's people. Kids across the country are wanting to play other more high-profile sports where they get more glory. Inner-city kids are not playing tennis very much, and other countries are just stepping it up and producing great tennis players.
Yeah.
Moving on, because I think this is a topic that might get a lot of you interested. GQ has come out with a list. You know how I love lists.
Oh, well, there you go.
Of its 25 coolest athletes of all time. Now, of course, cool is subjective. What is cool? I mean, I think all of you can agree that I'm cool, but for the most part, who's to say?
But we can take you out of the deep
Who's to
freezer
say?
anytime.
GQ, and I think they've produced a cover for most, if not all, of these 25 players.
They had a lot of covers.
Really neat.
Yeah.
Some of the people who made the list, and
Uh-huh.
these are, no big surprise. Muhammad Ali, I think most people thought of him
yeah.
as very cool in his day. Bjorn Borg, always a cool tennis
It's a
player.
cool name.
Bjorn
Yeah.
Borg or Muhammad Ali? Or both.
Borg. I can't even say it.
Jim Brown, running back,
Yeah.
very cool. Dr. J, Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, Evel Knievel, cool Evel Knievel.
Did it say? Were there anything that stood out in that list about who was really cool for like a really odd reason? Or
Not necessarily, but there's a couple that really kind of stuck out to me for good or bad. Joe Namath is on the list, and I thought maybe, he used to be cool when he was Broadway Joe, and he, guaranteed the Super Bowl win, and the Jets won, and it was a big upset, and he was very cool, and he wore the fur coat and all that.
he was flamboyant.
But after he got drunk and hit on ESPN sideline reporter on the sidelines of Monday Night Football, I thought maybe his coolness factor maybe has dipped.
Connie, you went to school with him, didn't you? Joe
I'm
Namath?
not saying.
Okay.
But I thought Joe Namath maybe had lost some of his cool factor. GQ doesn't seem to think so. Allen Iverson made the list, and this is the one where I do not understand. Former NBA player who's now playing, I think, in China, made the list as cool. He's been nothing but a troublemaker his entire NBA career. He's got tattoos all over. Maybe that's
Well,
why he's considered cool, but
lots of
I was kind of
So does
surprised
Dennis
at
Rodman.
that.
yeah.
A couple people I thought maybe should have made the list. Mark Spitz wasn't on it, and I thought,
Oh, I liked
Mark
him.
Spitz was always cool when he was setting swimming records in the early 70s. He had the mustache and the full head of hair and chest hair, which as a swimmer,
Yeah,
That's a little
It's-
rare.
yeah.
and
Yeah,
he had
he
that
didn't
kind
shave
of,
it.
he was hot. He had that
Yeah.
kind of porn star look, if I can say that.
And what's really sad is like he's never called upon by the Olympics or whoever's reporting these days.
He
And-
kind of lays low, though. That's kind of on him.
Did Bruce Jenner make it, buddy?
Bruce Jenner did not make it.
Oh.
He may have been cool in his day, but I think his stepdaughters have kind of ruined any chance of him
I think he's
being
cool.
cool anymore.
Oh,
He made it
please.
to Eric's list.
Shaq, I've always thought Shaq is
I
very cool
liked
with his
him.
commercials, and
Yeah.
he's just always
And
very
he
funny.
wasn't on the list.
And he does these things like he'll be sheriff for a day and go on. He's always a fun time on talk shows. I was kind of surprised he didn't make the list, especially when someone like Allen Iverson did. And Joe DiMaggio, he married Marilyn Monroe for crying out loud, and he's not one of the 25 coolest. Shouldn't that qualify him right there?
You would think, for us at least.
Pele is one of
Okay.
the few international
yeah.
guys who did make the list, actually.
Okay,
Kelly Slater, who right now seems to
on
be
top of everything.
all over the
Yeah.
place, was one of the 25. A few others. Tim Lincecum of the world
Who's that?
champion San Francisco Giants, who's known for growing his hair and smoking weed.
Oh gosh,
I
I
guess
don't know
they
how
find
I
that
missed
cool. Pistol Pete Maravich.
Oh,
I
yeah,
guess I can
haven't
see
heard
that.
in a long time.
Arnold Palmer and Gary Player, two golfers, made the list. I'm surprised one golfer
Anybody,
made the list.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, lemonade and iced tea. What's better than that?
another tennis player, Arthur Ashe, cool,
Yeah.
very cool. He made the list. So
Okay.
check that out. That's, like I said, GQ's 25 coolest athletes of all time, and it's fun. And email us at competeradio.com and let us know who should have made the list.
Well, you know what? I was wondering why somebody like maybe Meadowlark Lemon wasn't on the list.
That would have been a good choice,
He's
also.
great.
Yeah. So
Coming up a little later in the show, Alfonso, you're lucky enough to sit down with Cutie Patootie, Ryan O'Meara.
yes, I am. I'm very, very, very excited about that.
Yeah, he's going to be here in the studio. He was in the 2006 Olympics ice dancer, right?
Yes, he was.
Awesome.
And I have goosebumps about talking to him.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing him in just a little bit. But coming up next is, of course, Sports Pop. I'm guessing you have a lot of information.
I got
for us
some
today.
good stuff.
Some good stuff. Log on to CompeteRadio.com for news, information, hot topics, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Josh Fourier. If you've just joined us, be sure to log on to CompeteRadio.com for it's GQ's top
25 coolest athletes of all time.
Yes. I kind of agree with a lot of those.
Yeah, they're mostly good choices.
Yeah. Sports Pop, Alfonso, I am excited about this. You have some crazy stuff for us this week.
Well, I did want to start out kind of going off of what Buddy was talking about, and there's somebody who I thought would be great for that list, except he's not an athlete. So, so there goes that.
Thank you, Alfonso. But yeah, some people do consider me an athlete.
Well, the person I'm talking about is also dead.
Eric's only dead on the inside.
Oh wow!
Sorry, deceased. Now, as we all know, Jack LaLanne, fitness pioneer, died last weekend, and although he was not an athlete, he did encourage a lot of non-athletes to become more active in their lives and take better care of themselves.
Yeah.
I do want to offer my condolences to the family and friends of Jack LaLanne, who died last weekend at the age of 96.
I think he was an athlete, though. Anybody that can swim with a boat attached to him is an athlete.
He was a remarkable man because, way back in the 1700s when I was born, I remember seeing his first TV shows, and he was neat because he said to women who at that time were primarily in the home with little kids, you can still exercise. Take your chair, get a can from your can cupboard, use it as a barbell, and he really promoted healthy exercise for everybody and made it affordable.
He did, and then like with his juicer and then a couple of his other products, it was all about the healthy alternative to your diet and nutrition and what.
Well,
Buddy wants to laugh because I was excited on Monday when I found a Jack LaLanne power juicer for $5 at a yard sale.
That's a smoking deal, by the way.
Yeah,
Those
it
things
is.
are
But,
like what, $400?
Because
I'd like
the
that.
company that makes them wouldn't respond to my emails and send me.
About a month ago, I saw an infomercial that was done recently. He was still, making his infomercials up until, a month before his death, or at least sometime in the last year.
Yeah.
And what was so funny, though, is that he kept talking about juicing, and he was talking about how he's been juicing for 50 years, and that's how he's kept healthy and fit.
Well, that explains why so many of those queens at some of the parties I've been to have gotten it wrong. Maybe they don't realize it was fruit juice and not steroids.
Yeah, and I'm amazed that nobody, Jack LaLanne, nor anyone around him has said, hey, Jack, juicing for the last decade is commonly what we refer to as taking steroids.
Right.
And maybe they did. Maybe he just said, screw you, I don't care. I'm
Yeah,
going to still
like-
call it juicing. It's just funny whenever he would say it.
Yeah, so one thing that I did want to touch on that many of us probably don't know about was that back in in 1978, there were rumors that Jack LaLanne made some anti-gay comments. Many people do believe those comments to have been hearsay because they were made without reference to any sources. Many also believe that Jack LaLanne opened the first health club back in 1936 in Oakland, California. That was per the LA Times. And his TV show ran for 34 years. And as far as I know, that's the longest running TV show in history.
I think it is.
I thought-
And it
isn't
was
Saturday
certainly
Night
the
Live
genesis
is-
of everybody's shows today.
That's like,
Well,
that's top competition with like
It's up
Saturday
there.
Night Live.
Well, I think at
60
the
minutes
time-
and whatnot.
Yeah, I think at the time it was.
Uh-huh.
When it accounts, I'm sure maybe Saturday Night Live's been running longer now, but
Well, 60 minutes has been running longer than both.
oh, okay.
Still, to be on television for over 3 decades.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's huge.
Again, like when his show ended at the time, it was probably the longest running.
Sure.
I just want to get through this really quickly so I can go on to a couple of other things. But he was also known for having posed naked in those beefcake calendars in the 1950s. And if you do a search, you can probably find them online. We're not going to link you to them because we're not that kind of magazine.
Alfonso,
or
you did a
show.
beefcake calendar, but yours was actually meat.
Yeah, it was actually it was Lady Gaga's dress, and I ate it. And Jack LaLanne was famously quoted as saying, "I can't die; it would ruin my image." We'll have a link on CompeteRadio.com to a website called Neatorama that has 10 facts about Jack LaLanne that people may not have known.
Cool.
So going on, Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse from Brett Favre, or Brett Favre, excuse me.
Oh, Lord.
It did. And actually, our host, Josh, shared this information with me. Apparently, Brett Favre has a sister named Brandy.
Oh, Brandy.
Brandy Favre,
Pretty girl.
who lives in Mississippi. And earlier this month, she was arrested in Diamond Head when she was found at a condo where a meth lab was located.
Oh, good
Yeah, she was
grief.
just hanging out, and some officers showed up and found a bathtub where meth was being made.
Yeah, this last name is just scoring really bad
Yeah.
points across the board.
Well,
I mean,
I found that her and 4 others were evacuated, decontaminated, and incarcerated.
All those aided.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going on to a little bit more about the Super Bowl,
let's first say we hope she gets help.
we do hope she gets help, and we hope her brother does too.
I hope. Yeah, I was gonna say. I hope Brett Favre gets help in his retirement.
Yeah, we hope he retires.
I'm sure they'll be on Dr. Phil's new Oprah show.
So there's a couple of things on leading up to the Super Bowl I wanted to talk about. The first of which, can anybody guess what Super Bowl first is going to happen at this year's Super Bowl?
Wait, say that again?
There's going to be a Super Bowl first
Okay.
at this Super Bowl. Does anybody have any guesses as to what it is?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
A stimulus package.
Justin Bieber's going to show his breasts.
She hasn't hit puberty yet, but Connie?
No, not unless Johnny Weir is coming out with something different. Maybe he's coming out as straight.
Well, and none of you got that correct, but it is very bad news for all the lesbians out there. There will be no cheerleaders at this year's Super Bowl.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, they're gonna be upset.
Neither of the Super Bowl teams have a pro cheerleading squad.
Well, would you really want cheerleaders from Pittsburgh and Green Bay? I mean, come on.
Oh, buddy.
That's the steel town and a meatpacking town. I mean,
Those
what kind of
cheerleaders, if they had cheerleaders, they'd probably be playing on the football team.
Well, now, is there
Just
still,
kidding, just kidding, just kidding.
Against that.
I'm not.
is there still the opportunity to see the halftime show?
I don't know what you mean.
No?
There's always an opportunity to see
Yeah.
the halftime show.
They're still doing that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, commercials.
Yeah, I'm lost here, but
Well, they're
I
taking
mean,
away the cheerleaders. The
The
halftime-
Well, no,
cheerleaders
they
don't
have
do the
no
halftime
cheerleaders.
show. This
Yeah.
isn't the
the
high school game.
halftime show is usually like a professional performer who's famous.
Yeah.
Josh is learning as
So
we go.
there's not always cheerleaders on the halftime show. They're usually on the sidelines, jumping up and down in skimpy outfits. But nobody seems to complain about that in the Christian organizations. Anyway, I digress.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there were teams without cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
had
they don't
no
have a
idea.
professional squad.
Huh.
Okay. So anyway,
Sorry.
now there was
had to catch
something really stupid that happened in sports within the last week.
I find that hard to believe.
And I can't believe there hasn't been more more Fox News style talk that this took place. In a recent game, when the Steelers were playing and realized they were going to the Super Bowl,
Can I? In a recent game, that would be the AFC Championship game against the New York Jets.
thank you for clearing that up for us, buddy.
Details.
Yeah. That's no fun. Yeah, I get used to speaking a certain way, and it just comes out.
When our engineer
Anyway,
laughs, you know it's good.
So the Steelers were playing the
New York
New
Jets.
Jets, right? Okay. And once they realized they were going to go to the Super Bowl, Rashard Mendenhall
Very good.
decided he would celebrate
Yeah.
in his own special way. Now, Fabulonzo may show up here at any moment. I can't guarantee he won't. So while most people do a dance, others choose to sing, while others starts riots and destroy their hometowns to celebrate their team's win. Mendenhall did something probably just as stupid as the last one. He decided that dry humping his quarterback on national television was an appropriate way to celebrate. Now, Ben Roethlisberger was on the ground, and he jumped on him and kind of gave him a couple of pumps with his hips. And the first thing that comes to mind after seeing that is, why would you do that?
Because it's hot.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is $9.99 a minute. So
Yeah, it was
It's attention.
It was ridiculous.
I thought it was funny.
Those I mean,
it was funny, but it was like, why would you do that?
not that it's comparable, but those wrestlers, I've seen them do that
Yeah.
too, where they kiss each other and grab each other on the butt.
It probably wasn't the best decision, given that the ratings for that game, 55 million people had tuned into that game, and that many people across the country were watching this, although not everyone saw this. It kind of happened really fast, but now everyone's seeing more of it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the best decision, but it's kind of playground stuff that guys do.
I
Now
can
he has a
only
contract with
I
Trojan,
can,
so.
can only think about his mother saying, "What on earth did you do that for? You
Yeah,
embarrassed me."
that's who he's got to answer to.
Yeah.
Well, there's-
and you know she's going to beat him.
There's lots of parents across the country that have some explaining to
That's,
do.
yeah, that's it, exactly.
Sure, some children have some
His
questions
mother's
about
going to
that.
take him to church.
Yes.
There's a few other things I wanted to quickly get to while we still have a little bit of time. Billie Jean King is going to be speaking at a commencement ceremony on May 22nd at University of Vermont, which I think is really cool that she's been the person, chosen to speak at their graduation. We had an opportunity to see her speak here in Tempe, and it was an amazing experience for some of us. So I'm very excited for these graduates this year. Chad Ochocinco,
Oh, yeah. Love it.
he's kind of over himself. Not really.
Yeah.
He's over his name. He says that he's done with quote unquote Ocho being his name, and he thinks it's time to change it.
Ochocinco.
Just
yes,
a
It was
Cinco?
Chad Ochocinco is what he changed his name
Right.
to a few years back. Now he wants to change it back to its original Chad Johnson.
Oh,
Real quick, though, there's a reason for this.
all right.
And that's because he wants to
Listen.
play with the New England Patriots, and they already have an 85. So it's not that he's really come around to his senses. He's got his
I just
strategy.
wanted to quickly say, if you get a chance, catch Be Good Johnny. We're on Logo.
Ryan O'Meara is coming down the hall right now. And up next, we're going to have the interview with Alfonso Chavez and Ryan O'Meara right after this. Log on, CompeteRadio.com. We'll be right back.
Compete Radio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Compete Radio. Today we have a very special guest, a former Olympian ice dancer, Ryan O'Meara. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing fantastic. We're really excited to have an Olympian here in our studio. This is a really big deal for me, and I don't know if you can see my hair standing up on my arms, but this is pretty darn cool for us. Before we get into some questions about how you got into the sport of ice dancing and the experience. First, I wanted you to explain to some of our listeners what some of the major differences are between ice dancing and figure skating. So I think sometimes people don't differentiate the two.
Sure, they kind of wrap it all into one thing.
Right.
Figure skating, there's lots of jumps and tricks, and you're usually out there by yourself. Dance is more of a relationship built on the ice between a man and a woman. And just kind of portraying a story. It's more theater rather than tricks.
Cool. So the two sports, like I was saying, they kind of get put together by general audiences. Do figure skaters and ice dancers, do they associate with each other?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, we all get along. It's like one big family. Figure skating is such a small world. All the trips are done together. Every competition has every event in it, so you see the same people over and over.
Oh, so they if you go to a figure skating or an ice dancing event, there's the other.
There's 4 disciplines. There's men's free skate, ladies free skate, pairs, and then ice dance. And almost every single time, all 4 disciplines are represented.
Cool. So how would someone make the decision to either go into figure skating or ice dancing?
Usually, I guess it's usually the child's choice, but for me, I had Russian coaches, and they basically told me, you're not going to be a jumper, you're going to be a skater. So it was pretty much decided for me at age 12 what I was going to be doing.
Okay.
And Russians are so good at what they do, so you might as well believe them and just go with the flow.
They know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they have some experience in the sport.
So where were you doing your training, when you first
I
got
started
into it?
here in Arizona in Tempe at Oceanside.
Okay, so
I played hockey for 2 years.
Mhm.
There was a figure skating session after, and I looked at my mom and I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to try that. And she's like, what? What is that? I don't even know what that is. So it kind of started with one 15-minute lesson a week, and it quickly grew into every day. And then we ended up going to California, half the week here, half the week, and then I ended up moving to Detroit in 2000, and that's kind of where I did the most of my training.
So you actually, are you a native here of
Well, I was
Tempe,
born
or?
in Texas, but I only lived there for 6 months, so
Okay.
I consider myself a native of Arizona.
So, and you did you go to school here?
I did school here.
Uh-huh.
When I started high school, I had to do independent study because we were gone almost every week.
Okay.
We would leave here on Thursday, usually go to California, come back on Sunday, every single week.
Just for our listeners, when I refer to here, I'm referring to Tempe, Arizona, which is where Compete Radio is based. This is where our studios are located. So that's what I'm referring to, just to clear up any confusion. So tell us how you actually got into sports. You did mention you played hockey. Did you play anything else?
I played kind of everything. It was a smattering of things. My dad coached the baseball team, like Little League and T-ball, so I did all that. I was so bored, though. I was so bored, I would stand out in the field and watch the airplanes fly over. Skating has so much more action for me. I'm somewhat ADD, so skating's you're always moving, you're always going, you're always learning something new. So that kind of held my focus. And the hockey, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the skating. I'm not much of a team sports player. I like to just kind of depend on myself to get the job done. So figure skating it fit what I needed to do.
Yeah, and it kind of, for somebody who is ADD, it sounds like something where you don't have to worry about anybody else except,
yourself.
Your rushing coach telling you, get it right.
I know, try not to cry.
Right, or your partner. Try not to cry. I actually went to Arizona State, and I've been to a couple of music festivals. So I studied music, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, sure.
When the person when you say the person coaching you is... You're trying not to cry in front of that person.
There were many days when I was younger. I took from Eugen was his name, and he was the meanest coach I ever had in my entire life. And of course, it was when I was like 13, 14 years old. I would get off the ice and be like, "What am I doing to myself?"
I'd make champion.
I know. But he was good, and they're great at what they do. You just got to take it with a grain of salt.
Cool. So, when did you find out that you were at the skill level to compete, in the national and the world level?
Well, it started when I was younger. They have a younger competition called like Junior Nationals and all that stuff, and there are levels in the sport which you progress and you do like tests and things like that to grow. And senior is the top level, and then like juvenile is the bottom. So everybody starts out at the bottom, and as I progressed through the ranks, I began to realize like maybe I am talented at this. And my parents, we all kind of realized it at the same time. So it kind of grew year by year. We just took it year by year. We didn't set huge goals out there. Obviously, everyone has goals, but I think there's difference between realistic goals and just not everybody's going to make the Olympic team, right?
Yeah.
So each year was national, so we always wanted to medal. So it was good. I mean, it just we just kind of took it day by day, really.
Actually, not many people in our audience nor in our office know this, but our engineer Jay is actually a former figure skater himself.
Oh, really?
Now, were you a state champion, Jay? How did you do in figure skating?
Well, this was a long time ago, 1978, Arizona State figure skating champion. Actually, thank you very much.
Really?
Yeah, I was 9 in the preliminary boys division, but
nice.
I got
Congratulations.
first. Cool. Thank you very much.
Jay
You wouldn't see it by now, but yeah, I was just a little kid actually.
Jay was a champion the year I was born. So just to put that out there. So I wanted to ask about your hosting on the local NBC affiliate for the 2010 Olympics. You were actually an expert.
I guess for lack of better term, an expert. It was fun. We had done a lot of TV when we were competing and things like that, but I was never kind of behind the desk on camera. So it was fun. It was good to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff and meet the people. I actually went up to Vancouver for 3 days, I think it was. It was kind of a whirlwind trip. But it was fun. I had a good time.
Did you get to check out the gay house
No.
in Vancouver? While you were there?
I didn't. We went to a party at USA House.
Okay.
After the ice dancing event.
Which
so
sounds like it could have been a lot more fun.
Yeah. It's a party. Like,
Yeah.
Olympics is just, I mean, when you're done, it's like one party after another.
Yeah.
And everybody's there to have a good time. Everybody's just happy to be done.
Well, it sounds a lot like some of the tournaments I've been to. You know, once you're done playing, then, you know.
It's playtime. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're there to get a job done, but when you're done, it's like
Time
all you
for
want
fun.
to do is have fun.
Yeah. So you actually also had an ice skating rink, an outdoor ice skating rink built here in Phoenix.
We
for the
did
winter.
for December. We had an outdoor skating rink in front of my store on Marshall Way in downtown Scottsdale, and we had kids from the Ice Den up in North Scottsdale come down and do shows every Thursday and Saturday, and it was fun for them because there's not that many opportunities to skate here in Arizona, so it was good for them and their families to come down. We had tons of people. It was kind of crazy.
I believe it. You know, they're like, I think I've been ice skating once or twice in my life. Once was in New York.
Okay.
And the other time was at Tower Plaza.
Oh yeah,
which is gone now, isn't it?
There is still the rink there. It's just it's like behind the Home Depot or something
Oh,
like
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
Is it still used? Okay.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, Tower Plaza was one of the few ice skating rinks out here in Phoenix. You actually mentioned your business in Scottsdale. Tell our listeners about what you're doing now.
Well, now I'm doing interior design, and we have a furniture showroom that's open to the public. So that's pretty much my full-time job. I do teach a little bit still in the mornings, but predominantly it's mostly interior design and working with fun clients and things like that. So I enjoy it.
So tell our listeners how they can find out about your business.
Well, our website is Palavela Home, and that's actually the name of the arena that I skated at in the Olympics, so we named it after that. And we're on Marshall Way right in downtown Scottsdale. Can't miss us.
So, and that's spelled PALAVELAHOME.com. Cool. One of the other things I wanted to get into while that you mentioned was your teaching. Now, you're out.
Yes.
And people know you're out. How does that affect your dynamic at all with parents? Or?
No, not necessarily. I don't really find that in any way. Skating is such a diverse sport. I was somewhat lucky in that aspect. And nowadays, I don't think it's really an issue for people being gay or straight. At least the circles I run in, it never, ever seems to be an issue.
Okay. So...
Actually, I think the moms get along with you better.
Well, they just want their kids to win. That's
right,
all that
I know.
matters.
It doesn't matter at what cost.
Yeah, they could be an axe murderer as long as their kid wins. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that similar to pageant moms. I just want our listeners to know that. So is there anything else you would like our listeners to know about you, maybe about your dance partner or how you selected your partner?
Well, it's kind of crazy. I had so many partners growing up. Because as you mature, people grow at different times or whatever. But we kind of were just put together by our coaches.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, and your partner at the Olympics. Tell us about
Jamie. Yeah, Jamie Silverstein. We actually only skated together 10 months prior to the Olympics.
Okay.
So she's a very talented girl, and probably couldn't have done it without her.
And maybe if we have a little bit of time left, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the experience at the Olympics.
Oh, it was
Very
great.
quickly.
I mean, it was fantastic. It was just one overwhelming thing after another.
Well, thank you very much for joining us,
You're
Ryan.
welcome.
I was just very excited to have, someone of your caliber
Oh, thank you.
right here in our studio.
Thank you very much.
Once again, if you're interested in finding out about Ryan O'Meara, check out his website at palavellahome.com.
Compete Radio.
welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, we've been chatting with Ryan O'Meara. It was awesome. Thank you, Alfonso.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, for being here. It's hot in here now. I'm burning up. Speaking of hot, it's time for Hot Topics with Eric Carlisle.
Hey there, everybody. I'm so excited to bring you a hot topic. Now, I don't know if any of you know this, but I was out of the country this weekend for Compete Magazine. I was covering the Australia Open. And what I did was I wore a...
You mean, did you stand over it? You covered it?
Dear
Both
heaven.
hands?
Okay, truth be told, I was in my living room watching it on cable, but hey, I'm close enough.
Hey, those high-def TVs, you know, you like being there.
I know for most events, I have Alfonso getting tattoos with Compete on it. I have Alfonso getting Compete written in his hair. But they did something even worse than that in Australia this weekend.
I find that hard to believe.
I know, isn't it?
So do I, actually.
Now, since Alfonso and Buddy have been so good with their pronunciations, I'm going to try this. Katrina Makarova.
Ekaterina.
Ekaterina Makarova.
Katerina Macarena. Macaroni? No.
was asked to change her tennis outfit today over the weekend because it had a big logo on the chest. And they don't allow big logos
Was she
on
like
the chest.
Laverne and Shirley or what?
Actually, she did. She was.
Did she cut it out or take it off? Or
I
what?
beg you.
They made her take it off, and during the match, they actually came out and they started putting it back on her in different places where big logos are allowed. So they actually probably had this planned. Yes, they were actually removable logos. She was
okay.
able to take her outfit off, put a new outfit on, and then during the course of the match, they came out and actually reapplied the logos. You can have the logo on your shoulder.
Okay.
It just can't be on your chest.
Really? So it couldn't be on her boobie. It had to be like on her the back part of her shoulder or the top?
I mean, her arm is fine. Not
Okay.
on the chest, not on the back. It can't be in direct view of the camera, I think, is what the rule is.
I'm guessing her sponsor may have been Head or something. They make tennis rackets, Head.
No, it wasn't Head.
It was actually a foreign company that we're not going to pronounce here because they didn't pay to advertise.
Right.
No.
They don't deserve it. They've
Smart
gotten
move.
enough free publicity
But
from this.
it really got them a lot of attention, and what it did was it scared some of us who were in the audience. I actually took my shirt off with a big Compete across the chest. And within minutes, the tennis judge had come over and actually had me put it back on. So it was
Was that
Those were your neighbors.
was that a message to you from Miss Cleo?
Those were your neighbors who asked you to put it on. You had your blinds open.
And where did they put it on you? Did they like put it on like a skirt or a sarong?
the real hot topic here is do athletes need to continue to get these big sponsorships? Shouldn't they just sponsor the tournament or the location, or is it better to sponsor the athlete? And who makes up all these rules, buddy?
It does bring up a huge, open up a huge can of worms
It
because
really does.
this kind of thing happens a lot where you have athletes sponsored by one entity and the tournament they're playing in is sponsored by another. For example, Michael Jordan's son is a basketball player at Central Florida right now, and Central Florida has a contract with Reebok, and Michael Jordan's son wanted to wear Nikes. And there was a big conflama about that because he wasn't going to change his shoes, but they have an agreement with Reebok that everyone on their team wears Reebok. So it got settled, I believe, with Michael Jordan's son wearing Reebok because he's Michael Jordan's son and not Michael Jordan. So they'd be like, well, you wear Reeboks or we'll see you later.
Wow.
But these kind of things happen because
Yeah.
you've got, Reebok sponsoring the tournament and the athlete wears a different brand. So it's a big mess, and that's what's happened with the Australian Open right now.
But Reebok could sponsor our radio show, and we'd all gladly wear Reebok labels or shoes or
on
whatever.
the radio.
Tattoo it on my neck.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
sorry,
you can
one,
see it as we hold it up to the microphone.
and just for our listeners out there who don't know what conflama means, it's conflict plus drama, and you get conflama.
Conflama.
Yes.
Although we live in conformity here
You're
at Compete Radio.
I thought it was a recognized term, but
A
I
living
don't know.
lexicon.
It brings up the issue of money running sports, and I
here
came
we
across
go.
an interesting story this past week, if we have time for me to share it, that I think also illustrates how money is running sports, but also maybe getting too
Oh, I get it now.
mixed up in sports.
How money is running sports.
Let me give you the story. A man by the name of Robert Burton. He's the CEO of Burton Capital Management in Connecticut, and he donated $3 million to the University of Connecticut athletic program.
Whoa.
So yeah, he's rich.
That's
He's rich.
considerable.
And this off-season, Connecticut had to hire a new football coach, so they hired Paul Pasqualani as their new football coach, and now Robert Burton has written them a letter saying he wants his $3 million back because they didn't take into consideration his wishes, because he doesn't like the hiring of Paul Pasqualani. He calls it a slap in the face. Really what he's calling a slap in the face is the fact that he thinks they didn't pay attention to him when he voiced his opinion on who the new coach should be.
Right.
And he wrote them a letter and said, we, meaning his family, we want our money and respect back.
Well,
Respect
then he
back.
should keep his mouth shut and keep his checkbook closed.
Evidently, this guy thought
Exactly.
donating $3 million to his alma mater entitled him to pick the new football coach. And there's no word yet on what the university's going to do. I don't think they're going to give the money back willingly, but the man has hired an attorney.
like,
Well, there was no
No,
obligation.
no.
He made basically a charitable donation,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
There's nothing signed. There was no agreement that said that if any decisions were
Exactly.
made.
It's a donation, not a contingent.
Sure.
As the largest donor to the program, he did get a seat at the table, figuratively and literally. He got to
That's
sit
awesome.
around and say what he thought about the program and who he thought they should hire as coach and who he thought they shouldn't hire. They took his thoughts, his words into consideration, and they went another direction. And now he's taking his ball and running with
Well,
it.
maybe that they don't get to tell him how he runs his business. Did he ever think
Exactly.
about that?
Well, there you go. I don't think they're donating $3 million to his business, but
Yeah.
yes.
But giving
exactly.
him the association. Sorry, Josh.
And us here at Compete Radio know firsthand what it's like to deal with someone that tries to run your business that isn't in the position to.
How would that happen?
Are we
I
all
know
on the same
Eric
page?
knows exactly what that's like because he's in that. We all know that.
Are you-
Well, it's the old saying that everybody has one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Opinions, I mean.
and they're like something.
Yes.
yeah.
you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Do our listeners.
I had to say it. It's
The
a
devil
very
made you do
uncomfortable feeling.
Well, I mean, and I mean, we also get a lot of that, in the community when people want to tell us, oh, your magazine should be this, it should be this, it should be this, and nothing's stopping any of them from starting their own magazine.
But just imagine, though, how
You know.
awkward this situation has become. We're talking about $3 million. Imagine how awkward this is now, where it was an accepted donation, and God, I mean, how I would be honored to get a
And
donation.
they named a sports complex on the campus after his family. I think it's the Burton Family Sports Complex. He wants the name taken off now too. He wants the money back,
great.
the name taken off, and he wants his, like you said, his respect back.
So was there a receipt that said they had a 30-day cancellation refund policy?
But you know what? I did give $3 million to Bingham Young University. Bingham Young University.
Bingham?
Brigham Young University. Sorry, Brigham Young University to have the Compete Sports Program and the Compete Gay Sports Auditorium, and they actually sent the check back.
I thought they would. Yeah.
Did they send it back or did it bounce?
It bounced all the way down.
Well, it's because you made the check out to Brigham Young, and they can't.
The bank
I
wouldn't
know,
cash it. It was totally an accident, totally.
Well, you can't say we don't have fun on the show.
Well, we know what he was thinking. Brigham Young.
Well, around the world, around the country, there's so much going on in gay sports. And Alfonso, can you bring us up to speed about what's happening around the country?
Well, this weekend, January 28th and 29th in Palm Springs, we have the Duel in the Desert, which is a flag football event.
I love that name.
Me too.
And it's actually really similar to Bingham Cup, if anybody's familiar with that. It's you basically go, and there's a bunch of teams, and they just mix everybody up, and you play with people you haven't played with before.
That's not how I understand Bingham Cup
Bingham
runs.
Cup is rugby.
No,
right?
Fogfest. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Fogfest. I'm
Say hi to
confusing my
Joey
rugby.
Jacinto, who's going to be there from Compete.
Yes,
Yay.
Joey, say hi to Joey Jacinto, who will be there. He's very tall, very lean, and his head is shaved, so he'll probably stand out with the combination of those three things.
Jacinto.
And if you're looking for information on that, go to Compete Radio, and we'll have a link to the National Gay Flag Football League. And the next event is actually in the week coming up, and this is February 2nd through the 6th, and it is National Gay and Lesbian Task Force Annual Creating Change Conference.
Wow.
For them.
And that will take place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we will also have a link to that. And we're actually partnering with the organization, putting that that together. It's actually out on campus, correct, Eric? I think it is an out-on-campus event. And again, the link will be on our website, competeradio.com.
such an awesome website. I mean, everything
And I'm doing
is there.
a duel with dessert this weekend, Josh, just so you know. I'm getting a,
Sponsored by McDonald's.
I'm getting a
Eric and I
pecan
are-
pie and a half gallon of ice cream, and we're going to see what wins.
It's women wrestling in desserts.
And I'm bringing a gallon of creme brulee. That's the duel. We're going to see who can finish ours first.
Oh, I thought the food was going to fight with each other.
No. Oh, no.
You're going to stick your hands in
I don't
it.
let any food out of its container unless it's going into my container.
Lord.
Okay.
Well, we
I'm
only
going to
have
charge
about
for this, by the way.
we only have about a minute left, but I would like to, not that the show hasn't been positive, but I would like to end on a positive note, a little off topic from what we've been talking about. But Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords is recovering
Absolutely.
wonderfully. I mean, so much more than expected, and we are so happy. It was so horrible what happened, and we're glad she is doing well. Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with her and her family.
And everybody else who was there, because people have been deeply affected by
Sure.
this.
What would someone do if they were interested in hearing Compete on their local affiliate radio station?
I think they should call them. Call your affiliate directly and say, "Hey, we want Compete Radio," and we'll see what happens.
More to come.
Keep your ears open. We'll be there soon. But for now, log on to CompeteRadio.com for news, information, hot topics, and more. On behalf of myself and the entire crew here at Compete Radio, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Aloha.
Compete Radio. Log on to CompeteRadio.com.